So some of the Olim are asking the following kasha before we move on and continue the sugya. Just the Olim are asking this kasha. What is the meiser is the difference between binyan or boneh and makeh b'patish? Isn't it basically the same? Is it like every time you build something, the final hammer blow, like when you're almost finished, that last knack on the stender, boom, that's makeh b'patish? No, the answer is not really. It happens to be a bit of machlokas rishonim and achronim. But just to make it very, very simple to understand, which could be negay for today also, is that, no, there's two different malachas, right? Every malacha has its distinct halachas, its nafkaminas, and its, various details that go together with it. There's boneh, that's building, and there's makeh b'patish, which is not building, it's finishing. Let me give you one example that the Gemara tells us, even though we're not learning makeh b'patish, but through that I think you'll learn and understand what the nafkamina between boneh and makeh b'patish is. The Gemara says, what happens if you have a plate, and you have a beautiful plate, you formed the plate all before Shabbos, that's great. But you're not going to eat on it that way, because you need to either glaze it or you need to make like a nice pattern and finish it off. Says the Gemara, that is makeh b'patish. Meaning, the Gemara is telling us, and again, when we learn makeh b'patish, maybe we'll go into detail to understand a bit more about that. But the basic idea is, makeh b'patish is once it's built, once it's finished, the final finishing to make it usable. That's what it is. For example, we've learned here before, if you have Band-Aids, right? According to many poskim, taking off the white tab of a Band-Aid on Shabbos could be makeh b'patish. Why? I didn't build anything, I didn't finish it, but I made it usable. That's what it is. Because while that white tab is on the Band-Aid, I can't use it, it doesn't stick. Once I take off the tab, it becomes usable. That's makeh b'patish, right? Shlomi, you hear that right? So that's the nafkamina between boneh, which is building, and makeh b'patish. Now there are those that hold it could be sometimes they overlap, and there will be times that maybe even according to some achronim you'll be over on two together, but the general halacha is that they are very distinct. There are of course nafkaminas. If something you're over mishum boneh, then the opposite you'll be over mishum soisa. Whereas makeh b'patish doesn't have an opposite. So there could be nafkaminas, but let's not get into that. I want to go to the next sugya, Rabbi Say. We're all familiar with the Gemara in Beitz and Daf Yud. The Gemara tells us there's a major nafkamina if something is mechuber lekarka or bottled to the karka, or if it's a kli, it's a utensil. Let's try not to make this too longish. Very simple. Yesh binyan b'kelim or ein binyan b'kelim. That's the kasha. Do we say boneh by utensils? Or no, boneh means to build. Build means something that's mechuber, that's connected to the ground. Or at least it's so large that it's bottled to the ground. It's nullified to the ground, it's like the ground. Right, that's what it is. But when you have a kli, a table, a stender, whatever it may be, that's not binyan. Binyan means to build. And there's a machlokes between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai in the Gemara in Beitza, whether or not there is binyan b'kelim or ein binyan b'kelim. Huge nafkamina. Massive nafkamina to so many of the things that we have previously talked about and that we're going to talk about. So, lemaisa like this. Beis Shammai holds that yesh binyan b'kelim. Beis Hillel holds there's no binyan b'kelim. Of course, we paskin generally like Beis Hillel, which means there's ein binyan b'kelim, which is how the Rambam Lalocha lemaisa and Hilchos Shabbos brings down shitas Beis Hillel ein binyan b'kelim, because there's no reason to. Now, the question in the Rishonim is, when do we say that there's yes binyan b'kelim? Shitas Rashi is there is no binyan b'kelim ever. No such thing as binyan b'kelim. You do something with a keli, and a chanami, that's called makeh b'patish. It's not called boneh. That's why I want to mention the nafkamina, right? That's how Rashi learns, the Uraim learns that way, the Ran learns that way, the Rif learns that way, many other Rishonim as well, Gos Maimoni and others as well. Now, Shitas Ramban, the Ramban says, no, there could be binyan b'kelim in a case where you built it from scratch and you did it a tight fitting. Okay? Then there could be binyan, even b'kelim in that case, which is, by the way, how the Shulchan Aruch in the beginning of Shin Yadad Paskins Halacha Lemaisa in Siv Aleph, the Shulchan Aruch says that there could be, like Shitas Ramban and many other Rishonim, there could be binyan b'kelim if you build something from scratch or there's a tight fitting going on. Then there could be binyan b'kelim in that case. Let me give you an example of something that fits into that sugya. If you have, and this is very negeya, you're doing sponger, or you're just sweeping, the house, whatever it may be, the room with a broom. Now the broom is generally made up of two parts. It's made up of the broom piece and the stick that's inserted and tightly put inside, right? So what is the halacha when that comes off on Shabbos? Or of course, to make it for the first time would be the same halacha. The halacha would be, that would be considered to be Boneh, probably Doraisa, according to most Rishonim. Why? Because I ain't billion bekalim for a Gemara, Beis Hillel, Rambam, that's how we paskin. But in a case where you tightly screw something in, and you've made a keli, then we're going to be maskim, like the Shulchan Aruch says at the beginning of Shinya Dalet. That is considered to be binyan bekalim. We will be machmer on that. That will be an issa, according to many, of a da'araisa, to take something and screw it in. What? Again? Loosely could be a drabonon. Otu, you're going to come to a da'araisa. A table, for example, that has a leg, and the leg comes off. Right? It happens sometimes, the leg of a table comes off, and you screw it back in, or something similar to that. Sometimes you have a stender that comes off, whatever it may be. Anything that's done in that way, where there's a tight connection, or you made it from scratch, that will be considered to be binyan, even bekalim. Now there are many examples, and I want to go through games and all sorts of things as well that maybe we play on Shabbos. We'll talk about that Be'ez Hashem hopefully tomorrow. But I want to mention one last thing before we move on. And that is a very important halacha. Based on what we're saying as follows. When a kli breaks on Shabbos, what is the din lemaisa when something breaks? Right? So for example, the Gemara in Shabbos Kuf Lamed Chesem Beis tells us about a case of a kira. A kira is an oven, the olden day oven. Kuf Lamed Chesem Shabbos, look it up. The Gemara says if you have a kira, which is an oven, and one or two of the legs break, what's the din? So without going into too many details, the Gemara says that if you have a utensil that breaks on Shabbos, the utensil, if it cannot generally be used in an easy manner, it is muktzah. The kli is considered to be muktzah. Let me give you a halacha l'maiser example. You're wearing your glasses, and the screw in the side that holds one of the legs comes out. That glasses, so what do people naturally do? Okay, so we know, binyan bekalim. We're not going to chas v'shalom, we're not going to screw it in, just have the But to wear it, no, what's the big deal? So often a Gemara Kuf Lamed Ches and Shabbos Shulchan Aruch passes this way that avade, your glasses have now become muktzah. They've become muktzah on Shabbos. Why? What's the reason? We're worried that a person, if he wears an item that's broken, he's going to come along and fix it, which would be a da'araisa, and therefore it's going to be muktzah in that case. However, there are many exceptions, and it's important to know when these exceptions come in. Number one. What happens, for example, if he already started using it before Shabbos? So, for example, Friday morning the glasses broke. He hasn't got time to go fix them until Sunday morning. He's going to wear them the whole day Friday morning. Shabbos comes in. The halacha is it's mutter. Why? It's mutter because once he started wearing it before Shabbos, we're not worried anymore because he showed us that he's wearing it and he's not fixing it. Therefore, we're not worried. That's a number one. Head to number two. What if the piece is missing? For example, the screw in the glasses comes out, but it's not there anymore. It's gone. It fell. It's gone. I don't know where it is. It's lost. Therefore, there's no gzeira. Why? Because I'm not going to come to the issa. Rav Falk Zatzal told me when I asked him about this. So he says to me like this: very simple eitzah for the olim, Rabbi say. If your glasses break and the screw came out and the screw is there and you want to wear your glasses, what are you going to do? So Rav Falk Zatzal told me very simple: pick up the screw with your mouth, with your lips, pick it up and throw it into the drain. It's gone. Now it's gone. There's nothing to talk about. That's what he told me to do. Big chiddush. That's what he told me I could do. And therefore, if the piece is missing or it's broken, if it's snapped, then obviously there's no chashash. The whole issa of muktzah is gzeira shema yiskas, the Gemara tells us. Mimela, when I don't have that gzeira because I'm not going to fix it because of the ma'aseh it's broken, and therefore in that case I'm allowed to be mekel in that case, and I can wear it over there because that's not a problem. So that is the general halacha with anything, by the way. It's not only glass. I gave you the glass as an example. It could be a table. It could be anything that you have that is broken in a way that is unusable in a normal fashion. Where the piece is there that it's fixable could be included in the issa of Gezeira Shema Yiska, which means the item is now muktzah, and obviously fixing it would be an issa daraisa in that case. Now, one of the main sugyas I want to get to, and I think we'll just start this tomorrow because it's a long sugya, it's an important sugya, and it's a sugya that's very negeya to many games and things that we play on Shabbos, is the halacha about things that are made to open and close, things that are made. We touched upon it a little bit yesterday, but I want to go through it properly. That things that are made to open and close or to be built and unbuilt. What is the halacha? Because now that we're discussing binyan bekalim, if it's tight, it's an issa d'oraisa, that's how we paskin. So what do we do with games and things that are tight but are made to open and close? Be'ez Hashem tomorrow morning, B'siyat Shmai, we'll discuss that. Have an amazing day.